little gratitude to the tarot cards for being in our circle tonight, knowing that the cards do not lie with their messages. We trust in what they have to say, what they have to channel to us, and what they represent. We thank the tarot for being here now. So typically I pull 3 cards, past, present, and future. This time around I pulled 4 because one flew out as I was shuffling and it was too meaningful to not include. So let's start with our past card. I pulled the Moon in Reverse. And this is from the Egyptian Tarot, by the way, which only has the major arcana. It's 22 cards of the major arcana. The minor arcana, so your cups, swords, pentacles. My God, what am I missing? Wands. Those are not there in this deck. It's all major. But with this past, maybe I'll back up. We needed to work with major intense tarot energy with this moon because it's an intense major energy. As my Reiki master put it, this is big dick energy. Like, this is the magical, most mystical moon. Sorry if I said that too loud and you had kids around. But this is the Moon in reverse. This is what we're pulling for our past card. And I just like the way the card looks in general. We have this black and white pyramid, this black and white dog. We actually have the scorpion on the card. You can't make that up. And this is our past card where we moved into Scorpio season a few weeks ago. I also think this is a little bit of a play on shadow and light. Maybe that eclipse season that we just traversed through over the past few weeks, over the past previous lunar cycle, and also the shadow season that we're dealing with now. You know, we're learning to find our shadows in the light, remembering that we're not perfect, you know, ultra spiritual human beings, that we are human beings. And so with that, there's always going to be a little bit of a shadow and a humanness to that. We also are the light within the darkness. So even in that darkness, we always have the light within that we can access and we can cultivate and we can grow when we want to. The moon is about our internal spaces. It's about our internal emotional processing. And when we pull the moon in reverse, it is telling us that yes, we have been on a very emotional roller coaster. It's been a wild ride energetically for the past few months or so, but now we can remind ourselves that we can also find more balance. So whenever we are tuning into our internal moon, our sacral chakra, our sacred spaces, we balance all of these emotional waves with the other sides of the sacred womb. Things like creativity, things like manifestation, things like intuition, things like tapping into the mystical and magical. Even embracing your moon cycle, your lunar cycle can be something really potent for transformation. So in the past, we have moved through quite a bit energetically. We're still in it with this Scorpio lunar cycle. And now we're being asked to simply turn more within, pay more attention to what's going on in the inside world of us so that we can find more balance and healing in our future. For our present card, I pulled another reverse card. This time it is death. We have also the scales on the card. Remember that in this present time, our moon is in the lunar mansion of Vishika Nakshatra, represented by the scales of Libra. So how coincidental is it that not only did we pull our past card with the little scorpion on it relative to the energy we're navigating right now, but we're also dealing with the scales. We're dealing with death, life, rebirth, transformation. We're trying to find more balance between our work within and our work on the outside. You know, all of this is representative of the death card in reverse. Now, anytime we pull the death card, it's not necessarily about death. There are usually some other cards that come through to represent that. This is more of a spiritual death, an energetic death, a metaphorical death. This might be a letting go of something, letting go of a relationship, a person, a job, an effort, a pursuit, a project, etc. However, that's all when the card is upright. When the card is reversed, when we have death reversed, This is about our relationship to ourself. This is about letting old versions of ourself die, old constructs, old programming, old beliefs, old habits, old ways of humanness. It's time to let those die and be recycled, because there is this new version of ourselves. I don't know if you can see it, but there's like kind of there's these little people on each side too. They're kind of like coming out of the ground, coming out of the grave. But those are our ancestors, and they're telling us right now, like, you have so much coming on the other side. You have so much to step into, and we're preparing it for you. But you gotta let go of these old versions of yourself that are old bloodlines, they're old ways of thought, they're old patterns, it's old generational karma. It's time to let all that go so that you can truly transform and rebirth yourself, recycle yourself into the person and the version of yourself that you are supposed to become. I also find it interesting that this card is the number 13, and this is November 13th for this moon. So for our future card, it's an upright card. We have the Empress represented by the number 3. Again, we've got that life, death, rebirth coming in. And we've got the Sun really ruling the energy of this card. We also have Isis on there. This is the goddess of fertility. So we are being reminded, and remember, this is coming after death. So if we just learn to let go of these versions of ourselves, let these old ways and old, it's almost like the scorpion, right? Like we're shedding our exoskeleton, we're molting right now. So if we can peel away that layer and let that part of us die, we can move into midwifing a new version of ourselves that is ready to birth or like come out of this deep internal desire for change. You know, fire always has to do with transformation, also representative on the card. Notice the female symbol up there at the top. This is reminding us also that we are in a Scorpio lunar cycle. This is a time of deep feminine, sensual, sexual, artistic, intuitive, creative energy. So as you move into the future of this lunar cycle, the future of this shadow season, and the future next year, embrace what you are midwifing under the surface. The things that are ready to be birthed. They're coming. They're just not quite here yet, so be patient. And finally, that bonus card, the one that just flew out in the middle of me trying to do my reading, we have the High Priestess. This is Vishika Nakshatra. It's represented by the number 2, that forked branch, the scales, the duality, the should I stay or should I go? Should I stay as who I am, or should I step in this new version of myself? The High Priestess, she's sitting at the temple of Isis. Again, I love the order of these cards because you can't make this stuff up. So this came with Isis, right? So we have the High Priestess sitting at the temple of Isis. We have Isis doing all of this work behind the scenes, but the High Priestess has to show up to her practices in order to tap into that magical energy. She is devotional to what she needs to do in order to manifest the life of her dreams. Also notice the moons, the crescent moons there. Those are representative of Ganesha's elephant tusk. And I mentioned the birthday of Lakshmi and Sri Davantari. But this particular Vishika Nakshatra, this moon, is also ruled by Ganesh. And so Ganesha's energy is telling us to get out of our own way, to get rid of the obstacles that are standing in our way of spiritual wellness and spiritual health. And also just, step into that bigger version of ourself that wants to show up to those things on a regular basis, right? The humanness in us, right? This humanness has to die. I got to get up, check my phone, tend to my emails, all the things that don't really matter until we tend to our spiritual health, our spiritual hygiene. You know, that's the humanness side. And notice how she's got kind of the shadow below her and the light above her. The light is there, shining on her, guiding her, leading the way, leading the path. You know what you have to do right now. You know what you need to do on a regular basis, maybe a daily basis, to become a better version of yourself and to reach these desires and these goals and these dreams and actually make these intentions mean something that you're setting. You know what you need to do. The High Priestess reminds you to step into it, to start doing it, and to start doing it right now.